about this next fight, man? We're going to be talking about Movsar Evloev versus Aljamain Sterling. I know we should pick Sterling. Being American guys, you got to go with the American wrestler versus the Russian wrestler, but I don't think I can, man. Movsar just seems so good. I know he hasn't lost yet, but then Sterling was a champion for a while. Both of them, like I said, both have that wrestling background. It's one of those things where it's like, okay, it's going to play to each other's strengths. So who is going to have that edge in this fight? I don't know, man. I just think that the Russians continue to roll here. And I think Sterling, as much as I would like him to win, I just don't see it happening. So I'll take Evloev here on the minus 258. And that's another tricky thing about this card, is that they have these odds placed where it's like just high enough that you want to take a method, but just low enough that you kind of just want to play it safe. Looking at the money, 67% of bets are Movsar, 66% of the money. That's another thing. We're not seeing much sharp movement. And you're getting Movsar at minus 265. It's nasty. I'll take money line just because I think he would get the decision, but I'm not confident. Maybe he gets the KO. I doubt he gets a sub, but I don't know. What do you think, Bobby?
You're looking at it from a slightly different angle than I am. You're asking yourself who's going to come up on top if they decide to wrestle. I'm asking myself who's going to come out on top if this is a disgusting standing wine mom boxing event.
Yeah,
like that's kind of what my fear is that since that's usually what happens, right? When you have two guys who are really good at grappling, it's like, do they engage in the grappling with each other and make it a really fun scramble fest like Jordan Levitt, Chase Hooper type thing when they fought each other? Do they do something fun like that and they just, grapple heavily with each other and make it engaging? Or do they just kind of get scared and they just kind of make it a disgusting sloppy strike fest a la Ben Askren when he fought Damian Maia? That's kind of the like those fights usually only go one of two ways, right? There's never usually these mixed martial artists are mixing the martial arts here, engaging and interesting. It's usually disgusting or, So it's tough because I don't know. I don't know if they're going to be scared. I don't know. It's going to be hard because, Evloev, he does look very dominant. Obviously, Aljamain has the pedigree that he has, being known as a wrestler. And if it comes down to, all right, now we have to pick who's the better striker, that's tough, right? Because, Aljo is the guy who's most susceptible to strikers. That's how he lost his belt to Sean O'Malley. Did well against Calvin Kattar. Calvin Cater's only avenue to winning that fight was the boxing, but we already knew that Calvin Kattar had absolutely no grappling and no takedown defense, so we knew that if Aljo could even get him, he'd be fine. But when it comes to Evloev and he doesn't have that grappling to fall back on and he's forced to stand, I don't know if Evloev's good enough to necessarily be impressive in that regard. There's things I've seen from Evloev that I like, but it's all stuff from like the regional scene, right? It's like he had like a good head kick KO on the regional scene, but he just doesn't have, when we talk about the translation of finishing ability to the UFC, he's a guy who's a classic case study, and he doesn't have it. He hasn't had a finish in his mixed martial arts career since he was at M1 in 2018. That was the last finish he's had, was in 2018. Everything else has been a unanimous decision with the exception of the Nick Lentz fight, which was a split decision. Some people argued he didn't win against Arnold Allen. It was a little bit horrendous judging. I can't remember off the top of my head if I'd agree or disagree, but Alexei Nesterov, April 2017 was when he got that head kick I was talking about. So it's like, if it stays standing, it's tough. It's tough because I just really have no idea how they're going to come out. I don't know if they're going to want to grapple. And it's like with two guys that are just kind of this, it's not pretty to look at, that's for sure. I can't say it's ineffective because clearly it's gotten both of them as far as they've been in the UFC. but it's damn sure not pretty to look at. It's not aesthetically pleasing. It's not really technically sound defensively or offensively. So it's like minus 265 for Evloev, plus 215 for Sterling. It makes you tempted to take Sterling, but I'm going to be with you on Evloev, and you said just money line, right?
I did. I looked up methods, dude. If you take the double method KO decision, it takes off 8 points. Yeah, minus 258 to minus 250. If you do just one method decision, still minus 150. Like, yeah, that's horrible.
Yeah, you're just getting screwed because, like, I just don't think he's going to get a finish, especially against Aljo. Like, I'm not a big Aljo guy. I'm not really necessarily a Movsar guy. He's not bad, but neither one are my favorites. And plus, like, we have a limited sample size of Aljamain and at 145, right? Like, this is only his second fight at 145 pounds. Yes, I just mentioned that he was really good against Calvin Kattar. But it's like, okay, that's Calvin Kattar, a guy that was pretty much tailor-made, hand-picked for him to have a good debut at 145. So I'll play it safe and just stick with Movsar money line like you. There's just too much on this that just don't make this as tantalizing to me. I know a lot of people, like I said, are getting sucked in to Aljo being a pretty, good plus dog, underdog at that plus 215, looking to make a profit off the money line alone. But there's just too much uncertainty around this. They could easily see that backfiring. So I just don't feel comfortable enough. It's kind of funny because that would be a relatively safe bet, and I usually swing for the fences. But this one I just don't feel comfortable enough on because I just don't know if they're going to try to strike. I don't know if they're going to grapple. And I just don't know if Aljo is going to continue to just be as effective at 145 in that limited sample size that we've seen against a guy tailor-made for him versus Movsar, who's been there for a very significant, if not the entire portion of his career. So
I'll switch to decision if you want to. If you want to do double decision, or do you want to do double money line?
The problem is the decision doesn't even really do much for us, right?
It takes off 100, but still, yeah, it's still minus 150. Would you rather just be safe?
I mean, we can go decision. If he gets a finish over Aljo, I will be a Movsar fan because I just don't see it. I just don't see it over a guy as tough as Aljo. Especially, like I said, O'Malley was able to do it because he was clearly the superior striker with the height and reach advantage and all that. Like, Movsar could be the superior striker, but we haven't seen it since 2017 and 18 is just what kills me.
Or hear me out, draw for plus 5,000.
This would be the most draw-ass fight, especially if you grapple.
Right.
Maybe.
I usually never say that, but it's just kind of like a fight. It's like, maybe.
That's tantalizing enough. I wouldn't mind sprinkling some money on it.